Hello all, and welcome to Broadway Battles Pride Edition. My name is Connar Klock, and I will be your host for this evening. I currently serve as the artistic director at Queer Theater Kalamazoo, and have personally worked with Farmers Alley on a handful of productions over the last few years. With this being a strange time for those of us deeply connected to expressing our pride through a festival or community programming, I hope that this program, along with the programs that have been produced by other organizations like Outfront, are making you feel still proud. I know I am, definitely. I think every day that I am able to connect with my friends and my peers through whatever methods I have available to me, and I hope that you're doing the same. To help build that community, we want to make sure that you are involved with us tonight while we talk about some of the greatest queer theater that there is. So we want you to be involved. So we're going to give you a link here for you to be able to give us your take on the show tonight. Give us your comments, your concerns, and answer the questions yourself, please. You can do that at streamyard.com/Facebook. So you're clear to comment along with us by going to that link and getting involved. Our producer, Carrie Phillips, is working real hard to make sure that you can participate. So if you'd like to tell us your answers to tonight's questions, again, that is streamyard.com/Facebook. We wanted to give you guys, to be able to get involved right here real quick, the first question. We're going to give that to you ahead of time so that you can get have some time while we're introducing our contestants to get online, get logged in, and to be able to provide those comments. Our first question for this evening is, who is the most memorable LGBTQIA character in Broadway history? And again, you can go to streamyard.com/Facebook to answer that question. Today, we have an incredible lineup of questions for you and an even more incredible lineup of folks to answer them. First, I'd like to introduce to you Dwight Trice. Dwight and I had the pleasure of working together at Food Dance as well as knowing each other through theater. He is a 7-time Farmers Alley alum. Some of his favorites being The Producers, It's Only a Play, and Spamalot. When not on stage, he is an avid Drag Race fan, hashtag Team Shay, Taurus, and Color Guard aficionado. His favorite date is April 25th because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket. Super excited to be here and hoping to take another Broadway Battles win home tonight. Thank you for joining us today, Dwight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see you again.
Yeah.
Our second person joining us tonight is Megan O'Callahan. I'm so sorry if I get your name incorrect here. This is the first time that Megan will be participating in Broadway Battles. Megan worked at Farmers Alley last year in their production of Fun Home as Medium Allison after previously playing the role at theaters in her home state of Connecticut and New York. She currently lives and works in New York City as an actress and is so excited to be here.
Hi.
It's exciting to meet you, Megan. I've never had the pleasure.
I know, nice to meet you.
I hope that I get to meet you in person one day when we're doing this in the space together with each other.
Yeah, when we can finally leave our houses.
Our third contestant tonight is Hal Hobson-Morse. He is a WMU alum, just like myself, who has been working professionally in the area for over 25 years. A gifted music director and pianist, Hal has been featured many times on the Farmers Alley stage. Most recently in It's a Wonderful Life, a live radio play, and The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Hal. And while we both are working here in this community for you for many years and me for just the last 6 or so, we still have never crossed paths, so I'm excited that I get to meet you here.
It's a pleasure. I appreciate being asked. Thank you. It's good to be part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited for the questions that we have prepared for you guys today. So first of all, I want to next go over to the person who is making sure that we're all keeping it honest. Our friend Jeremy Koch, who is the artistic director at Farmers Alley Theater. He's going to be fact-checking us today.
Hi, Connor. Thanks so much for being here, everyone. Connor, thanks for hosting tonight. I am here with some memorable posters, including Fun Home, which starred Megan O'Callahan, and my wife, Deneen, and my daughter, Carly. And I also got the producer's poster, which starred real-life couple Stephen Wallum, and Tony Hummerkauser.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of some of our Pride history at Farmers Alley. So great to see everyone. Everyone, thanks for watching. I think you're in for a real treat tonight. I've seen the answers to some of these questions, and I'm really looking forward to this battle.
We are about to get down today. I hope that you are all prepared to put up your best fight for what you truly believe in today, because that's what Pride is all about. But before we do so, I do want to go over the rules with you folks, okay? Broadway Battles is not a trivia show. It is a debate show. It is a battle. There are no right or wrong answers. I'll ask an open-ended question relating in some way to theater or queer theater. And our three contestants have 45 seconds to answer those questions, to give their own individual answers, and then we'll open up the floor to a group discussion or a battleground. Ultimately, the contestants will do their best to convince you, the audience, and ultimately me, the judge, that your answer deserves to be deemed the best and worthy of this round's point. It's all about the argument. So bring the passion and let's get this battle on. Are you guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Audience, again, we want you participating today. So please go to streamyard.com/Facebook. Please join us. We want you here. We want your comments. We want your answers. I want to see what you have to say. So please get involved. I would like to say, before we do this, thank you guys again for being here. We're doing a lot right now to stay connected. And this is one of the wonderful ways that we can do that. So thank you to Farmers Alley for providing that for us and an outlet to be able to do this. Which means, however, all niceties are now aside. It's battle time. So I wanted to start with a great question that I really like. With groundbreaking roles like Ned and Larry Kramer's Normal Heart and Lola and Kinky Boots, queer roles have given us a lot of people to look up to. What or who is the most memorable LGBTQI character in Broadway history? And I'd like to start with Dwight for this, and you get 45 seconds to answer that question.
All right, so queer characters in Broadway history have long held a really massively important role in shaping how many people understand and relate to the LGBTQIA plus community. And while this may be a newer addition to the canon, I believe Alison Bechtel from Fun Home to be the strongest and most memorable among them. The material, first off, is autobiographical in nature and told from a first-person perspective. So she's actually telling her own personal story. It is just gaily right there from the horse's mouth. You're able to gain insight into her experience as she recounts her experiences and grows herself. She's not a man, number two. Many times we focus on the gay white male experience when it comes to coming out stories, and it's really nice to see that perspective as well.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy, do you have any comments on that?
No, I thought that was well stated. Good job, Dwight.
Great job.
Oh, I actually do have one thing to say, which is that Fun Home is known in Broadway history as the first lesbian protagonist, featuring the first lesbian protagonist in Broadway history. So yeah. Well done.
Yep.
So speaking of Allison and Fun Home, next we have Megan to answer. Megan, who, in your opinion, is the most memorable queer character in Broadway history?
All right, so I went with Pryor from Angels in America. Angels in America, I feel like, really changed the national conversation about LGBTQIA rights and AIDS crisis. Pryor's story in particular is a call to action for him and the audience that I think is so timely even now. At the end of the play, Pryor appeals to the angels by telling them that without progress, humanity is doomed, and asks them for more life, no matter if it's pleasurable or painful. His last monologue in the play is so powerful and stuck with me for days after seeing it, when he says, you know, we're not going away. We won't die secret deaths anymore. The world only spins forward. We will be citizens. It's such a powerful call to action. And I saw that play over 2 years ago, and I still think about that moment like once a week.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. It's a wonderful answer. Thank you. Jeremy, do you have anything that we want to fact check on that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Well done.
Goodness. Very good job, Megan. All right. Next, Hal. I would like to ask you, my dear friend, who is the most memorable LGBTQI character in Broadway history?
Most memorable is Alban from La Cage aux Folles. The show brought us the Jerry Herman song "I Am What I Am," which became a huge anthem for the gay movement. And the story illustrates all the challenges of living in a closet, even when you own a successful club or if you're the star performer. It's a shining example of a long-term committed gay relationship that weathers ups and downs of life's adventure. And throughout the whole play, every time they start to show affection or kiss and embrace, they stop themselves because somebody might be looking or might not be appropriate. So until the very end of the play, you finally see this loving couple embrace, and they slow dance to "Song on the Sand" and the curtain falls. But it shows, explores toxic masculinity and society's expectations of what it is to be a man and the coming out process, gay parenting, custody issues. It just kind of wraps up the entire gay experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. I agree wholeheartedly. And the film before and the stuff after, and the interpretations that were made afterwards, also great. Jeremy, anything to fact check there?
I mean, "I Am What I Am" is such an anthem, right? I mean, we all are what we are. And I mean, you could just, I wish we could emblazon that across the sky for everyone to see.
That's the goal here with Pride, right? We're all going to do that thing.
Which is true for everybody. Everybody is what they are.
Mm-hmm.
All right, put them in a cage. Put them in a cage and let them battle this out, Connor.
Like
Someone will drop an elbow, I hope.
All right. So, what are your thoughts? What do we have to say?
I think those are both really, really great answers. I will say that, you know, with both of those shows, a lot of the reason why those are really great is because it talks about the struggle. And I think the struggle of the LGBTQ community is one that is massive and so much to bear. Like, we lost an entire generation of people. Like, that's just in itself is heartbreaking. But one thing that I think about Alison Bechdel that makes it a little different and even more memorable is that you see this through the lens of a child. You see this girl coming to terms with who she is, and it's never shown as a negative thing. She's always, you know, a lot of other LGBTQIA material has you being othered by the rest of the world and realizing you're different because you've been othered. But with Allison, she sees so many similarities between her and her father, and similarities with Woman in Ring of Keys. You know, she sees herself in these other strong people, and that's how she realizes that she's different. It's not by being othered, but realizing she's part of the community.
That character is very true and realistic, and right. But the question is the most memorable character. Which one really stands out? I mean, we got Mascara, the song Mascara, where you actually see him become a drag queen right in front of your eyes. And the fact that there's the owner of the successful club, and he's a star performer, and they still have to live in the closet. They still have to hide around, and those things still exist. There's places that Peter and I don't feel comfortable, and then there's other places we feel totally comfortable being ourselves. And I think it's a great illustration of the challenges of coming out of the closet and really living to being who you are.
Yeah, I definitely think that I also thought about Allison when thinking about this question, obviously, because it's a very important show to me and everything. But the reason I think I didn't pick her was because I think I was thinking about it more like a memorable, not just to me, and memorable like in the whole history of and not that she's not, obviously.
I mean, Alison Bechdel is a gay icon. I mean, the Bechdel test, that is something like it's, you know, she is an icon. Like,
yeah, I was thinking more like Angels in America as a play is so, like, just changed so much for the AIDS crisis and for the LGBTQIA community, and really, like, just put it in a whole new context and shaped a whole new kind of theater. And when I'd never seen it until 2 years ago.
It changed the conversation about AIDS on Broadway. It really did. But I think it's really important to know where we're coming from, but it's also important to keep an eye on the future for like the LGBTQIA youth that are coming, to see a story of positive reinforcement, and that's something they can equate themselves to, because, the world is changing. And yes, we still are struggling. I mean, I'm in a gay relationship that's an interracial one. Like, it's hard out here still. So but it's also nice to look for hope and light.
No,
and I think that is important.
And I really do want to see that in general in LGBTQIA stories in general. I want to see less tragedy and more happiness and more like finding hope and all that. But I feel like it was more. I feel like in terms of the whole canon of what like people, not just me and not just us, just people in general, what they feel is what they remember more. And also this is to do with the fact that Fun Home is so new and so much like people, whenever I talk about Fun Home, people are like, what are you talking about? Like, and I think that's because it's only a couple years ago, and that's not, it's going to be for years to come.
Like, both fits into that because there's so much humor and so much comedy, and then plus you get to know the characters so well, they become your friends, and you're pulling for them, and you're kind of seeing things from the inside, and you're laughing your head off and enjoying the dancing and everything, and next thing you know, it's kind of the message has gotten across, and you've kind of used that pry bar to cross. It's also in 1985 it was written, so it's many years back, but it faced a lot of audiences that were not necessarily open to gay and lesbian people, and kind of changed those minds and made people realize that these are just normal, regular people like anybody else, but they're gay or lesbian.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I think they've had their time to battle it out, Connar. Nothing for me to really fact check at this point. I'll say this is a tough one. I mean, Lacage is sort of iconic. I mean, they're all iconic, right? I Am What I Am turned into a movie, The Birdcage. Angels, of course, is legendary. Recently had a revival on Broadway, and of course, the HBO special. I am partial to Fun Home. You've got the Lisa Crone K College, Kalamazoo College connection.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the fact that it was the first all-female writing duo to win Best Score, music and lyrics, and libretto. So, and we've done Fun Home, so I'm a little partial to that. But you really can't go wrong here, Connar.
Yeah, I think that all three of them also have
Traitor.
I think that each of them has something incredibly different than the other to offer what we do, right? So they're all incredible choices. For me, I love Megan pulling the receipts right out of the play, right at the beginning. Open us up by telling us what he said. And so I'm going to go with Pryor on this one because that call to action is what helped break that for all of the rest of the great works that we now have, I think. So I'm going to take on that one.
It's a pretty legendary play. So, like I said, you couldn't go wrong here. So, point for Megan.
Thank you. As I'm wearing my Fun Home t-shirt.
And Angels also won the Pulitzer Prize.
Yeah.
So there's that too. Great. All right.
Well, won 6 Tony Awards, so come on, it's way up there.
They're all Tony winners.
They're
Big
all
Tony winners.
It's
iconic.
All right. Well, we'll have to see what everyone does on question 2.
Yeah, I want to really quick though remind everybody that they are able to participate by going to streamyard.com/Facebook. Again, we want to hear what you have to say here today, and have pride in your opinion and your answers in what we're doing tonight. So our next question I wanted to bring up, with icons like Billy Porter pushing boundaries in next year's production of Cinderella, I'd like to know what famous Broadway role would you like to see played by folks of a different gender and why? For first with this question, I'd like to kick it over to Megan.
Okay. I would love to see a female Curly in Oklahoma. There was a gender bent production at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival where Curly was a woman of color and Ada Wanny was a man, both of which I think is so interesting. But in particular, Curly is a woman because, one, I would like to see more gay women on stage. And two, I think the relationship between Curly and Laurie would be so interesting to have this young, naive woman falling for maybe a slightly older, more worldly woman who's kind of representing what she wants to be and what she's looking for romantically, a little bit like a Ring of Keys moment. And I also think it'd be really interesting to see Curly and Judd's relationship, with Judd feeling threatened by this confident, strong young woman and how that would change their dynamic, especially during Poor Judd is Dead. And I'd also like to play Curly. So there's that. All right.
Well, thank you so much, Megan. Jeremy, anything that we need to fact check there?
No, not that I can think of, but if I think of anything, I'll come back later. Great response.
Absolutely. I love the idea of that. I thought when I saw that, I was like, oh, Brandi Carlile as would be so cool.
Yes.
Wasn't that? Oh,
yes.
gosh.
Oh, my God.
So we're going to do it now, Megan. That's what we can do. We got to do that.
Got to grab Brandi.
We'll just call her. So thank you so much for that, Megan. Next, we're going to go over to Hal. Hal, I want to ask you, what famous Broadway role would you like to see cast with folks of a different gender and why?
Roberta Kincaid, an adventurous photographer with the National Geographic, has traveled to Iowa to do a story on the bridges of Madison County. She stops and asks for directions. That's one reason that it should be played by a woman, not a man. She encounters Francesca, this housewife who has been living in Iowa for the last 18 years and was originally from Naples, Italy. Francesca makes a meal for the ever-drifting Roberta, and one thing leads to another as they begin to have feelings for one another. Roberta ignites a passion for life in Francesca that has laid dormant for many years, and they express their love for one another, and Roberta invites her to join her. Will she walk away from the life she knows and her husband and her children? Is that even possible? Or will she remain true to her responsibilities to her family but deny the newfound love and passion she's discovered? Now remember, this takes place in 1965. So Francesca stays in Iowa with her husband and children, but never forgets the 4 days with Robert.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that, Hal. That's a great answer. I love the extra layer of repression that it adds to Francesca's character, right? Being so worldly from Europe and all of this stuff, and then being stuck here in the middle of nowhere. I think that that's something that queer people can relate to all over the world. So I think that that's a wonderful answer.
And possibilities she's never explored, and then also being from Italy, where that would have been repressed, and then during wartime, and so all of these possibilities opening for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeremy, do we have anything to fact check there?
I like it. You know, I'm partial to this musical as well, but you know, ultimately it's about someone who really listens to Francesca and sees her and hears her and sees her as a full woman, you know, with thoughts and feelings and passion and art. So it really ultimately doesn't matter who it is. So this could totally work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Hal. Next, we're going to bring in Dwight. Dwight, I want to ask you.
Awesome. So my answer has really got to be Tootsie. I think switching the character of Michael Dorsey to a woman is imperative to fixing a lot of the things that are wrong with that show for today's audience. The Broadway musical is a stage adaptation of the 1982 Sidney Pollack film, in which this talented guy who's an actor has been dubbed difficult to work with and decides to dress as a woman in order to get a job. Like, he's a man on Broadway who already has a job, and he decides to be dressed as a woman to get another job. I think it's ridiculous. I think switching the character to be a woman would show that women really have some of the hardest times breaking into the industry and deal with a lot of the sexism, the pay inequality. I think it would be really revealing as a community to see what would happen for a woman who was strong-willed and outspoken to be praised for that behavior after becoming a man. Start that conversation.
Absolutely. I love that idea. It brings in some new intersectionality and fixes something that is already...
I am actually I can't hear you, unfortunately.
Okay.
I can hear Jeremy, though.
Can you hear me now? Still no.
I think after this answer, Dwight, go leave the stream and come back in.
No problem.
Connor really likes your answer.
Yeah, I do. I really love it.
Thank you.
Really great.
I do too. I think it's really really intriguing, and it also kind of, you know, plays on this whole idea of you know, how men sort of dominate so much of our, you know, landscape these days, from business to even to theater, and so giving a woman a chance to actually step into that role would be really, really interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so too. I think that we have a unique opportunity with that show to do some work.
Dwight's back. Can you hear Connor?
Yes, I can hear Connor now.
Yay.
Everybody else always says that they can too, and so I'm glad that you can.
Well, you're just in time for some theatrical bloodshed, because you all have to duke it out and punch each other in the face with some arguments.
Love it. All right.
Yeah. So I think, what do any of you have to say about why what the other person has to say is the absolute wrong answer?
Oh.
I think Tootsie is already a gender bender movie. That's a play. That's you know, it already is a man exploring a woman's world and finding out, you know, the kind of persecution that a woman has to face. And
but I really don't think he's exploring a woman's world. I think that is outlandish to think that as a white man on Broadway, dressing up as a white woman is going to make it easier for you to get further.
It's harder for roles, but he's understanding the kind of the uphill battle it is as a woman that he didn't face as a man. And I think that's one of the messages of the play. So Whereas I think if a woman dresses a man gets the role, it's easier for him.
Well,
than way around.
I think it's gonna. I want to start the conversation about like the sexism and the issues that women face, like in the audition room during the rehearsal process. You know, dealing with all these men in charge, and they're always like demeaned and be called pet names and things like that. And for women to stand up and to speak against that, they're usually labeled difficult, hard to work with. You know, all these things. So I feel like if she were to be gender bent from being a woman into a man, and then still maintain those behaviors and be praised for it and then go further, which is more so, let's be honest, the case, I think it would really start a conversation about why we do that to people in the theater.
Yeah, absolutely. Megan, do you have anything to add to that?
I haven't seen Tootsie, the movie or the play. So like,
Oh,
I mean, I know what it's
It's
about,
great.
but I did read about it, and I do agree that it the way they tried to do it, I don't think. I mean, I haven't seen it, so I don't know, but I don't think it would have worked. And I do think it'd be interesting to see it as the opposite. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think that I think all of these are great answers, though, especially Brandy Carlisle. Oh my gosh,
Brandy, I love her.
I think the Bridges of Madison County really stretching Francesca's experience and her life experience and the things that have been offered to her or possibilities for her. You know, she's had a religious background and a conservative background, and I think for her to be able to, you know, branch out and you know, really experience passion for life, totally, you know, that really it pushes the ticket even farther of the challenge of the whole challenge and conflict in the play.
Yeah, absolutely. That has been a favorite of mine. I'm a big Meryl Streep fan. It's the only holiday I celebrate every year is June 22nd. That was my favorite. That's her birthday, 1949. Meryl Streep, you know. And that was my favorite from when I was like 13 years old. Was that film with Clint Eastwood, and I always felt so connected to Francesca. Felt feeling in a rural area like I was an outsider, like I was alone, like all of those things. So I think that it's a wonderful answer too.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's not looking for any trouble. She's not trying to get off. You know, it's just a matter of it comes across her, and then she realizes how much passion she has inside her that's never been explored.
Yeah.
And I think there are I've heard many people coming out of the closet having that same experience where there's all this feelings and passion and life and excitement that they just never considered. They never thought it was a reality.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, Connar, you've really got your work cut out for you once again, my friend. I like all these answers. I think one of the things about, you know, plays from the golden era is trying to make them relevant, bringing them into the 21st century, and, you know, updating Oklahoma and having it, you know, the role of Curly played by a woman would certainly do that and make it feel a little more relevant. I've mentioned that I think the Bridges thing is really fascinating and would give Francesca even more, you know, of a timely relationship and sort of a forbidden relationship to bring out that passionate side of her. And I think I might go with the Tootsie one on this, because I really do feel like there is that double standard of when men are, you know, assertive and aggressive, they're praised for it, and when women are assertive and aggressive, they're shunned for it and called, you know, nasty words. So I maybe would give Tootsie the nod on this round, but it's up to you, my friend. Which way are you going to go?
That is actually exactly where I'm going, for the reasons that you stated, as well as the question is to talk about gender and what gender can mean on stage. And Tootsie is already trying to have a conversation about gender that now we want to be able to push further into today. So I think that's where I land with that one. I think that's a great argument for why that should happen.
All right.
Yay.
Point for Dwight. So where do we stand on the rankings here, Connar?
Right now, we are tied for first place between Megan and Dwight with 1 point each.
And Hal's gonna fight his way in round 3 and try to get a point. Aren't you, Hal?
I think you should know that my plan B for the second question was Harriet Hill, mostly because she falls for the librarian. So I thought that'd be a perfect one.
Next time, next June, next Pride Battle.
Next June.
All right, Connar, what's next?
Yeah. Well, again, I wanted to remind people that Your comments are appreciated. We really want to see you getting involved with us tonight. So if you could please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and start participating with us. We'd love to see you. Love to see what you have to say. Our third question, I wanted to talk about, it's funny that, Megan, you brought up this earlier. I wanted to ask about the end of Angels in America. Tony Kushner says the great work begins. And to me, that has always been a call to action to say, no, we're not going to have any more great gay plays. We're going to have a lot of them. We're going to have a whole wealth of queer theater to be able to have bad queer plays and good queer plays and great queer plays and plays that we would never want to see, and have all of the works that are needed to be made. So I think this next question is, pick a show based around an LGBTQI character or historical figure and tell me who would portray them. And this is so that we can talk about the new work we can make in theater and delve into our history. So first I wanted to kick this over to Hal. Hal, how do you feel about this question? Pitch us your show and who would play them.
Mine is about Rock Hudson, and of course, extremely popular movie star with 70 films to his credit. He had to remain in the closet in his entire acting career. He served in the U.S. Navy for 3 years after high school in World War II. He moved into Los Angeles and decided to pursue acting. And he had several character roles, and then he became a leading man and moved into leading man territory and became legendary. He worked with Doris Day, Elizabeth Taylor, Carol Burnett, Julie Andrews, Jane Wyman, all these stars. Which would be a great, opportunity to show vignettes and videos from that, or appearances from those people. He was diagnosed with HIV in 1984, only 1 year after HIV was discovered, and he died the following year. And he inspired so much the fundraising and Congress to develop money for developing a cure.
Oh, great on time. Thank you, Hal. I agree. Absolutely. I think that there is a wonderful story there. I think about a lot of Hollywood actors of that time period. I think that's a whole series of plays. That's a cycle right there in itself of all of these people that felt like they couldn't be who they were, and I think that that's incredible. And then who did you say? I don't think I caught who you think should play the role.
Well, it has to be somebody who's really handsome and who understands the movie industry experience. So I said it had to be Hugh Jackman. So
Hugh Jackman.
I think he'd be perfect.
All right, absolutely. Jeremy, anything to fact check there?
No fact checking, but it feels very relevant with the Hollywood series right now, which sort of features a Rock Hudson type character. So it does feel very relevant. And it's just so sad that he had to, spend his whole career in the closet. So would be a very interesting play.
And thanks to Hannah Ellis, I'm now just like 2 degrees of separation from Hugh Jackman. So that just makes my day. So
there you go.
Some cool Farmers Alley name dropping here, Hal.
Oh yeah. You danced with them at the Tonys, man. I saw it.
Well, thank you so much, Hal. Next, I want to ask Dwight. Dwight, pick a show based around an LGBTQI historical figure and tell us who should portray them.
Lovely. So I believe it's our duty to breathe life into a story about one of the LGBTQIA plus community's trailblazers, the woman who incited a movement all with just one brick. I propose for you the show Before the Brick, the Marsha P. Johnson story. The show would follow Johnson, played by the incomparable MJ Rodriguez, as she comes up in the queer NYC scene in the 60s. We would watch in awe as she stands up to police brutality, cheer her on as she and the members of her racial activism group, the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, or STAR, perform capers and battle the societal injustices that they were facing. And what would the show be without showcasing her drag performance group, Hot Peaches? Her story is so rich and filled with so much activism and heroism. So much happened before the brick. So.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I love that idea. I love the idea of I love the idea of trans representation by having MJ Rodriguez play Marsha. That's so
Absolutely.
good. I love that. And it was the real shot heard around the world, right? That brick.
Truly, yeah. And I think that you know, in my mind, in my dramatic little world, I see her like the show ending as she picks up the brick, ready to throw it. Curtains, lights out. You know, I want the show to be about her and what got her to that point, and everything that caused this movement to happen. You know, so it's not necessarily just about Stonewall; it's about how we got there. So.
Absolutely, I agree. Jeremy, anything to fact check there or add?
No fact checking, but it again feels very relevant. I love this idea just from a personal perspective. I'm trying to stay unbiased, but I love this. This, you know, Marsha is someone I don't know that much about, and I would love to learn more about her.
No one really does,
right? And obviously the timeliness of Black Lives Matter and Black Trans Lives Matter makes it even more relevant. So, I mean, kudos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move right along here to our, thank you, Dwight, to Megan to answer this question. Who would you like to see a play about, and who should play them?
Well, that is a really tough act to follow. So I went with Gillian Anderson as Virginia Woolf. When Virginia Woolf was around 40 and she was married, she had an affair with another writer, a woman named Vita Sackville West, who was openly bisexual. The writers group they were in had a really liberal approach to sexuality, so it was all kosher. And during the affair, she wrote 3 novels, including To the Lighthouse and Orlando, which is actually inspired and based on Vita. Vita worked really hard to help Virginia's self-esteem and help her find ways to deal with her mental illness, because what she was doing prior to their relationship wasn't really working for her. I think that their relationship would make a really interesting, like, little capsule play, or a play with music, or a musical, maybe with only just the 2 of them as characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the idea of that. I love Gillian Anderson there too. I like how she describes herself as being heterosexual, but having experiences with other women. So it shows us just how fluid sexuality can be, the work that she does. And Virginia Woolf is always very close to my heart. So I'm always
love her.
Jeremy, anything to add here before we go in and start battling about it?
I can't wait for the battle. I don't have any fact checking at this point, but actually someone I also would like to know more about, you know, on a personal level. Most of my when I think of Virginia Woolf, I think of the Edward Albee play, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. So I'd like to see what's so scary. No.
You know, Richard Burton pitched a gay version of that in the 60s.
Really?
Yes, he did. He wanted to do an all-male version. And Albee said no. Albee, who is a gay playwright, said,
"Wow, that could totally work." Or an all-female version would.
I still want to see that play.
Yeah,
both of that, all of that.
How about Meryl Streep and Viola Davis?
I'm going about faint of heat stroke.
Yeah. Oh my God. What a show.
I mean, how would that be? Okay. All right. Enough about that. Let's throw them in the ring and get some plastic chairs that they can hit each other with. Duke it out.
One of the reasons I went with Rock Hudson, I thought there's so much storyline that has opportunity. You can bring in other characters. You've got him as a young man, and then like moving through the industry. And I found out he had a really hard time memorizing lines. He had to use cue cards all the time. And they took 38 takes to get one line correct. And but you know, his growing through that process and struggling through being in the closet. And I found out that Elizabeth Taylor and Joan Rivers both worked really, really hard to try to get stars to underwrite HIV prevention and cure funding. And nobody would commit to anything until he passed away. When he passed away, he put a real face on the HIV issue. And 2 days later, after he died, the Congress set aside $221 million to help find a cure. But I think also you just kind of put a face on what are gay people like and what are lesbian people like. You know, that it's not something strange. It's somebody familiar, somebody that we know that has been in our home. You know, they already love the person, and then they went, oh, okay, now I understand more about this. So it's like, you know, kind of cracking the door open, if you will.
Yeah. I think that's wonderful. And I think obviously Rock Hudson's story, I know it well. It's an important story, but I mean, I think I don't know if we need another white man telling his story. I think it's important to show that there are different people who have been fighting the fight of AIDS and fighting the social injustice just as long as people like Rock Hudson, who obviously was battling in the ways that he could. I think that, like, you know, it's showing the trans community in the 60s and how rough it was, and you know, how you could have friends that would be there one day and then gone the next, and for many reasons, whether it be sex work that turned violent or losing people to the HIV/AIDS epidemic. You know, it's I think that it's important to start and talk about that history as well. Also, I don't want to talk about why you guys have bad answers. I think those are both amazing answers. But for my show, you could have an Andy Warhol number, which I think would be amazing. You could also bring in Sylvia Rivera, who's another amazing trans activist. And I'm just saying again, the group of drag queens that she performed under was called Hot Peaches.
Yes.
Yes. I mean,
Which in today's emoji world, perfect.
Oh my God.
to be real.
Fire emoji peach. Fire
What a
emoji
hit.
peach. Fire emoji peach.
I don't get what
Kinky
you're
Boots,
talking
move
about.
over. Come on.
Oh my God.
Can you explain
Megan,
that?
jump
I
in.
don't get it. What's going on?
Yeah. Megan, do you have any thoughts that you'd like to share?
Well, I don't, yeah, I mean, both your answers are so great. And I had originally thought of Marsha, but you had already taken it. So I had to pick something else. I was like, fine, whatever. So obviously I think that's such an important story to tell, and I want it to be told. But the reason I ended up going with, the reason I went with what I went with is because I couldn't do what I originally picked. But the reason I decided on Virginia Woolf was because I feel like it would be really nice to have just like a little story about these two women, you know, falling in love and helping each other with their writing and their and just their selves in general. Like, Virginia suffered from mental illness, and Vito was there for her and helped her through that, and helped her like find out new ways to deal with that, because she was like really trying to do a lot of like physical labor basically that was just making it so much worse. And Vito really encouraged her to read and write and do other things that would help her, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, but help her make it better. So I just think that would be a lovely little play to see.
Yeah.
But I can't argue with Marsha or Rock Hudson. I mean, they're both great answers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think every story needs to get told. I think there's no limit to the amount of works that we can produce and we can make, and how many people's stories we can tell. You know?
Let's write a grant.
Yeah.
I'm appreciative that Farmer's Alley did the Liberace. That said so much. That had such a strong statement. So I appreciate that. I'm glad they did that.
Another unfortunate man who spent his whole life in the closet. I mean, you know, publicly. It was so sad. And it would be great to see, you know, a little more about Rock Hudson and how he sort of felt behind the scenes. I think that could be intriguing. And Virginia Woolf too, like, as I said earlier, not enough lesbian protagonist stories out there. But if I have to give my honest opinion, the show I want to see, and the show I think is the most fascinating, intriguing, a trailblazing show featuring a trailblazing woman, I want Marsha P. Johnson.
Yeah.
Fire emoji peach. Fire emoji peach.
I have to absolutely agree. I think that right now that's the story not only that we want but that we need. So I think I definitely have to go with Dwight on that one.
Woo. Dwight. Another point for Dwight.
Like, if I'm being honest.
Yes.
All right. So that is, those are the questions that we have for you this evening. And I thank you all for participating. I did notice one person's comment that they'd love to see a story about Alan Turing. There is a play called Breaking the Code that is about Alan Turing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Either.
I've only seen that movie.
Check that out. Yeah, so I think that's a resource there.
Note to self, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
Oh,
But otherwise, thank you all so much for being here, our contestants.
Congratulations to Dwight,
Yay!
the champion of Broadway Battles Pride Edition. Dwight, do a little do more happy dance.
Please. I don't know. I don't have I can't hear.
Let's see your
I mean,
T-shirt.
that's a lie. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God, I love it.
Oh goodness.
I love that.
That's
The
awesome.
reveal.
That's awesome.
That is
That's awesome.
spectacular.
Dwight, we want to know: are you now a two-time Broadway Battles champion?
I am now a 2-time Broadway Battles
Oh my
champion.
God.
Yes.
Congrats.
Yes,
Check
the
you
bragging
out.
rights.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is fierce competition today. You guys, I mean, those answers, you guys are both should be very proud. I mean, yeah, it's great.
Robbie says congrats.
Yeah.
He's watching.
Yeah, in the other room. He's also listening.
Awesome. So we're gonna do some upcoming things, but first, we want to give everyone a chance to, deliver any final thoughts and words that they want to say. Megan, do you have anything you'd like to say before we wrap up?
This has been so much fun. Thank you guys so much for having me. I had a really great time, and happy Pride. And Black Lives Matter, and Black Trans Lives Matter, and keep getting out there and fighting the fight.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Yeah, thank you for hosting. Thanks for hosting this this discussion and just having fun with it. And I appreciate having a theater that will tackle edgier topics, whether it's a matter of something like nudity or 4-letter words, or whether it's a matter of really, just digging into the meaty topics of, race relations and sexuality and all sorts of things. It means a lot to me, and it's nice to be with people that aren't shying away from things or just doing things for the sake of popularity, but really to use theater as communication and life changing. That's that. So
yeah.
Thanks, Hal. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I would just to piggyback on both of those things. Continue going out, keep fighting the fight, keep looking injustices straight in the face and saying, "Not here, not today." Time is up. It's 2020. Keep loving. Just smile once a day if you can. Laugh. I know Corona is still crazy, but we're getting through this together as a people. Wear your masks. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Connar, thank you so much for hosting, sir. You did a fantastic job. Much love to you and everyone at Queer Theater. Megan, Hal, thank you. Dwight, and Farmers Alley. On behalf of Farmers Alley, we also believe completely that Black Lives Matter, Black Trans Lives Matter, and that we want to be part of the solution, and we are working hard to do that. Going forward, upcoming at Farmers Alley Theater this Thursday at 7 p.m., I will be hosting another edition of the Koch Corner. Luckily, it's named that so that I feel comfortable hosting it. And I will be talking to two local legends, Mr. Sid Ellis and Mr. Buddy Hanna. It's going to be a little bit history themed because we're getting close to July 4th. We'll talk about Black theater history, and more. So please tune in for that this Thursday, July 2nd at 8 p.m. And then a week from today is our Broadway Battles Americana edition with Peter Riopel and James Sanford from our production of 1776 at Farmers Alley, and Ryan Vasquez, who was in our production of Next to Normal, and is also in the current Broadway cast of Hamilton, or was recently, excuse me. Of course, Broadway is closed down right now due to COVID-19, but theater will be returning soon, everyone, I promise. The sun will come out tomorrow. It always does. And I just want to say, on behalf of Farmers Alley Theater, that I hope everyone had a very informative and educational Pride Month, filled with activities and learning to further your knowledge and support of the LGBTQIA community. And we certainly have done the same, and we believe strongly in Pride, and we always will. Connar, back to you.
Thank you so much for that, Jeremy. And thank you again, Megan and Dwight and Hal, for participating tonight. Thank you, Jeremy, for fact-checking us and keeping me honest on time. And thank you ultimately to Carrie, who's running everything.
We love you, Carrie. Please follow Farmers Alley on the socials. If you would like to give, farmersalleytheater.online/give. And Carrie, thank you so much for doing a great job as always. We're very lucky to have you in the Farmers Alley family. Good night, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Connar, Megan, Hal, Dwight, Carrie, thank you so much. We'll see you soon. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. Bye.
Bye.